how we budget. Our budget changed everything. It made such a change in our relationship. I just felt overwhelmed. Good morning, everybody. And welcome back to the vlog. One of my most asked questions is, how do you guys budget? What's your budget? Do you have a budget? How do you save money? How do you travel all the time? How do you pay for traveling all the time? I don't really travel all the time, but we travel a decent amount. All kinds of questions about budgeting and money, and you know what? I don't really talk about money a lot on my channel, but today we're gonna have a little chit chat about it, okay? First of all, before we get started, today's vlog is a collab with my good friend Alyssa. She is a nurse, she's a mom, she's a YouTuber, and she's freaking amazing, okay? She does all the things, and I want to be just like her because she freaking kills it. She like did nursing school, she's now like an actual nurse. It's crazy. So you guys, if you're not subscribed to her, go check out her channel. I'm gonna insert a little clip from her video here, and then you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'm telling you guys, she's the best.
Hey everyone, my name is Alyssa. I am a new nurse. I just graduated nursing school. I have 2 daughters, a husband. I make all different kinds of videos, vlogs, lifestyle, nursing, mommy. If you guys want to see how I budget, definitely come and check out my video. I would super appreciate it and love to have you guys. Let's go back to Keely.
So now that you've seen that, I hope you go check out her video when I'm finished because she's going to be talking about her budget as well. But today we're talking about budgets. I've really only learned how to do a budget in the last year, and I started because of a lot of different reasons, and we're going to talk about all that today. But first, we're going shopping because the kids got gift cards for Christmas and we still haven't spent them. So let's go do that. So we just got home. Before we jump into how we budget, I figured I needed to give you guys a little bit of a backstory. Tim and I have not always had a budget. In fact, money used to be the #1 thing that we argued about. I finally got sick of it. I knew that budgeting was a thing, and I never really knew how to do it for like a household. I always budgeted for big things like restaurants. I always just kind of paid the bills and it all just worked out, and we never really had a whole lot of money saved, and we were just winging it, and it was terrible. We'd end up overspending and spending money that we thought we had when we didn't have it, and it just got to the point to where I was so sick of it that I finally made a budget. It took a lot of time and a lot of work to get used to using the budget. It wasn't just like jump in, here's the budget, now we're doing well. Don't get me wrong, we don't kill it every month with our budget. We don't always stick to it, but honestly, I will tell you guys, it is the best thing that's ever happened to our relationship. I know, that probably sounds a little crazy to say that it made such a change in our relationship, but I'm telling you guys that it did. I'm gonna try to run this down for you as easily as possible without making it sound too wordy and overwhelming. We have a lot of bills. We work to pay off our debts that we have, but we have saved more money and been way happier as a family ever since we started budgeting. So I do all of the budgeting and the bills and everything, and I do it all on an Excel spreadsheet. The spreadsheet was made by my best friend Erica's husband. They've always been so great and helpful, the best friends I have. They've been doing it for a lot longer than I have, and that's the one thing I have to say is you get better at budgeting over time. We have a whole month spreadsheet, and then I have a first paycheck and second paycheck spreadsheet. So this is essentially what our budget looks like. This is all of our income sources. Then down here you'll see all of our expenses, and then over here you'll see all of our debt. And then we'll have our total monthly income, our total expenses, and then what's left over. So that's the basis of our budget. Then I do one for each check also. So I will go through and pick out which things we're gonna pay with the first check and which things we're gonna pay with the second check of the month. Whatever's left over will be our net income, and that will be the amount of money that we have left over. We do a lot of different things with that money. Sometimes we will save some of it for a certain trip that we have coming up if we're going somewhere. A lot of it will go to pay off some of our debts, and a portion of it will always just go into savings. It also helps because we have extra money in our savings account for emergencies and stuff like that. This is a very basic budget. It works perfect for us. It's not super crazy hard to understand, and it's basically just how we keep track of everything every month. Now, even after we started budgeting, we still had a huge problem with overspending because we thought we had money that we didn't have. It's hard to keep track. You think you have money in your account when you really don't, and especially because Tim is gone and we aren't right next to each other to communicate all the time, we would overspend. So we had to do something to fix that, and what we did was get a second checking account. The second checking account changed everything. So now we have two checking accounts, one for bills, one for spending, and then we also have a savings account. The money gets deposited, I move all the money we need for bills immediately over to the bills account. Then we have our spending account. In the spending account is how much money we have for things like going out to eat, groceries, gas. Then we have our savings account, which I try to put money in every 2 weeks, and whenever I get paid, a lot of that goes to savings. I'm very fortunate that Tim makes enough money to pay all of our bills with just his job. So the majority of the money I make from YouTube or all my little side hustles ends up being for savings or saving for doing fun things as a family, like vacations, eating out, Christmas presents, stuff like that. I hope you guys are following along. I hope this is making sense. I never really explained how we do it. You guys ask a lot of questions about how do we save for vacations and how do we figure out how much money to budget for a vacation. Before we book anything, I figure out how much it's gonna be. I basically go through and plan the whole vacation and decide how much we're gonna need, what we're gonna have to spend money on, and then we break it up. I don't like to spend a whole ton of money at one time, so normally the first thing I'll do is buy plane tickets. That's normally the most expensive part. Then after that, we work on paying for our accommodations, and then we also save money for spending money. The way I do spending money for a vacation is I sell things that I already own. I pull out money from my money that I make every time I get paid and put that aside in cash away, so it never even existed. And the more we've gone different places, the better I've gotten at this, and now I know like what things to look out for so we don't get stuck spending more money than I think we are going to. And the whole vacation planning thing is a whole nother conversation, but basically I try to save just a little bit out of each check, or I try to do extra things to make extra money to spend on our vacations. Our bills and everything always comes first. We still are working on paying off our debts, and obviously if we traveled less, we'd be able to pay off all of our debt quicker. YOLO, I guess. Before I had like a whole family unit, when it was just me and Cadence, I never really budgeted, to be honest. I pretty much had money. We lived somewhere really inexpensive. I didn't buy a whole lot of stuff, and I made pretty good money to be just a single person with one child. Like, I just kind of paid my bills and never really had to worry about it. It wasn't until Tim and I got together and we started having multiple things going on, multiple incomes, that we started to really not know how to manage our money. It took a lot of time for us to get to where we are now. So people have also asked, how do we save money for groceries? How much do we spend on groceries? My best tip for groceries and spending less money is to utilize some sort of pickup system. Walmart, Publix, almost every grocery store now has some sort of pickup or delivery service. You will literally only buy the things on your list because you won't be tempted to buy random stuff in the store that's either on sale or you think you might use and then it goes bad. One of the biggest tips I have for budgeting is to plan out your meals. You'll feel much less tempted to just have to call and order out, and you're more inclined to actually make the food that you have. You'll buy the food that you need, and it honestly just works out so much better. And it's a struggle because there's sometimes where you're like, oh my god, I just wish I could go out to eat. Buy a pizza for those days. So we decided to take a, little interim time here and go to the gym. Even though I don't normally go to the gym in the evenings, we're gonna go. I did just talk to Tim. I have not talked to him, I feel like, in forever, and it's so bizarre when I don't talk to him. I'm like, am I really married? Do I really have a husband? Does he really like me? I mean, I know he does, but I just get used to not talking to him, and then it's really weird when I actually talk to him. So it was nice to talk to him, and Callie's so cute when she talks to him. She's like, come come home, daddy, come home. I'm like, so anyway, now we're going to the gym. And after that, I've got some tips for you guys, some budgeting tips. So let's go to the gym first though. Made it to the gym. Sometimes I film when I'm in the gym, but today's not one of those days. So I'm gonna leave you guys here. We just got done working out, and now we're gonna go home. If I had to give you some tips for budgeting, here's what they would be. And these are definitely some beginner tips because I don't consider myself somebody who's super knowledgeable about budgeting. But if you've never really budgeted, or maybe you just started budgeting, or maybe you've been budgeting and it's not working for you, my first tip is stop spending money on stupid shit. And you're probably asking yourself, what is stupid shit? Well, you won't really know the answer until you start figuring out what you spend your money on. Everybody's stupid shit is different. For me, stupid shit is coffee. I spend money on coffee when I could easily go buy 5 days worth of coffee at the grocery store for the same price as I would buy one coffee at Starbucks. But once you start figuring out what your stupid shit is that you're spending money on, you'll eliminate it. Don't get me wrong, I'd rather be buying Starbucks every day. But you know what? I don't. And I used to. And I looked at how much money I was spending on it, and I was like, damn, I could have done a lot with that money. Figure out what it is that you're spending money on that you don't really need, that's just nice for you to have, or whatever. It's gonna vary from person to person. I'm not gonna tell you what you should and shouldn't spend your money on, because don't get me wrong, I spend a lot of money on stuff that other people think is stupid too. But everybody's got some stupid shit they're spending their money on. Tip number 2, figure out what it is that you actually have to pay for. I know, you should know what kind of bills you have, but guess what? I didn't know for the longest time. I never wrote it all down. And when I did, I was like, oh my God, I have a lot more bills than I thought. Maybe you'd be like, oh my God, I thought I had more bills, but I don't. Either way, writing it all down and like listing everything you have to pay for puts it all into perspective. Perspective is the biggest thing about all this. So you know how much money you're bringing in and how much money you have to spend, and then the extra is how much money you can spend on shit you want, save for a vacation, or whatever. The important part is to figure out what it is you actually have to spend your money on. And my third and final tip, try to save some money. I'm not the best at saving money. I'm really not. And we could definitely be saving more money than I am. I don't know if I've stressed to you enough that I am not 100% great at this. I am not a professional. I am not like some sort of debt advice like person to look up to about saving money and spending money and budgeting. I'm not. I'm just telling you guys some things that I have learned. I've maybe only learned them in the past year because I sucked at money. And I still kind of suck at money. Like it's okay. I'm getting there. But my last piece of advice is try to figure out how to save some money. There's nothing worse than not having money for something like your water heater breaking or your car breaking down, or I hate having to borrow money. I'm still paying back both sets of parents for things that we had to borrow money for in the past. However you do it, having an emergency savings is really important because not only does it help you when there's an emergency, but you also feel a lot better about yourself as an adult. I'm not the most adultiest adult out there, trust me, I'm working on it. So that leads me to my last point. As long as you're working on it, I feel like that's the most important part. Don't just wing it. Trust me, don't be like me. Don't just wing it. Don't just think that you can pay the bills when they come up and everything's gonna be fine. It's not. It might not be. You might lose your job, because that's what happened to us, and that was hard to recover from. I don't like to talk about money, but those are my tips for budgeting. That's how I budget, that's how we budget. As long as you're aware that you need to be doing better, that you need to be saving money, that you should be budgeting, and you know the things you have to pay for, and you know how much money you have coming in, and you're aware of what's going on in your life, and you're not just cringing when you think about your bank account, that's what's important. There have been times that I have ignored things. I have ignored debts, I have ignored bills, I have ignored my bank account, I have not wanted to check things because I just felt overwhelmed. And as much as it sucks when you first start, because you have to go in and like actually look and see your money situation, it's so worth it in the long run. So that's my tips. That's my budget. That's how we roll. That's what we do. And hope that answered some questions. Now, if you made it all the way to the end, I'd love for you to let me know down in the comments below a budgeting tip that you have. What's the best budgeting tip? I'm sure there are some people who are watching this who are looking at me, rolling their eyes because they're like, oh my God, you're not a good budgeter. I know. Okay, I get that. You guys just asked, so here I am telling you. But that's all the money talk that I can handle, so we're gonna veer off that subject for quite a while on my channel. But if you made it to the end, make sure that you go check out Alyssa's budgeting video. She put out a video today, the day that I'm filming this, and she's gonna pay off so much debt this year she has planned, and it's like so amazing to me. She's like a whole step beyond where I'm at. If you're like me and you're just starting out this whole budgeting thing, or you've kind of sucked at money for like your whole life, my heart's with you. That wasn't cool. I should never do that again. We're about to go eat some dinner though. I'm making pizza. I'm probably burning the pizza, to be honest with you, so let's go check. I think I burned the pizza. Today was a good day, but it was also like a really long day, so sometimes pizza. Saving the frickin' day. When does pizza not save the day though? Let's be real. All right, I look crazy. That's it for today, you guys. Everybody say bye.
Bye. Bye.
Say see you guys later.
See you guys later.
You heard it from them. We'll see you guys later.